Imagine two people, both 70 years old, both with similar genetics, similar diets, similar exercise routines, similar medical histories. On paper, they look the same, but one wakes with a spring in their step. Their eyes are bright, they still read, mentor, laugh easily, and light up when friends arrive. Their memory feels intact, their curiosity remains. They move through days with purpose and energy that make them seem, in many ways, years younger than their birth certificate suggests. The other moves more slowly. Motivation is harder to find. Small tasks take more will. They have less interest in people and projects they once loved. Their mood is blunted, their social world shrinks, and they feel plausibly older than 70. What explains the difference? Is it nutrition, exercise, sleep, genetics, or could something far less obvious be shaping their trajectory? What if one of the most potent longevity interventions isn't found in a pill bottle, a drug trial, or the latest wearable? What if it lives in something quieter, more human, purpose? Today we explore a surprising, increasingly well-documented frontier in neuroscience and healthy aging, the biology of meaning, contribution, and altruism. Can helping others actually change the biology of aging? Can a sense of purpose alter inflammation, brain function, stress resilience, and even cellular markers of aging? Emerging science suggests the answer may be yes. The implications could be profound. Chapter 1. The Longevity Paradox. For decades, scientists hunted for the secret to a longer life. Diets, exercise regimens, genes, medications, biomarkers, all those things matter. Still, a pattern kept appearing that could not be explained by calories or mitochondria alone. Across the world, in populations with unusually high numbers of healthy elders, places researchers call blue zones, one shared thread keeps showing up. People have reasons to keep going. They have roles, rituals, social responsibilities, and a felt sense that their lives matter. In Okinawa, Japan, this idea is captured by ikigai, loosely translated as a reason for being. It's not a slogan, it's woven into daily life. Small social obligations, meaningful work, community rituals, and relationships that give people reasons to rise each morning. Researchers noted that individuals reporting high life purpose in places like Okinawa, Sardinia, Nicoya, and Ikaria tended to live longer, suffer less disability, and retain better cognitive function. At first, this was written off as cultural noise. Now, as controlled studies accumulate across diverse populations, the association between purpose and better health outcomes is getting harder to dismiss. Chapter 2. The purpose circuit inside the brain. Purpose feels philosophical, a whisper of meaning, but the brain treats it as biological. When people engage in meaningful activities, specific neural networks light up. These include regions of the prefrontal cortex involved in planning, decision-making, emotional regulation, and goal-directed behavior. The very capacities that allow us to set a course for the future, inhibit impulses that would derail it, and find coherence in our actions. Other connected systems, parts of the anterior cingulate and networks involved in social cognition and value representation, also engage. Think of purpose as cognitive resistance training. Repeatedly using those circuits strengthens them, improving emotional control, stress tolerance, and complex problem solving. This neural exercise helps protect circuits that are otherwise vulnerable to chronic stress and age-related decline. In practical terms, people with clearer goals and social roles tend to manage setbacks better, sustain attention longer, and stay engaged in cognitively stimulating activities, all of which support brain health across decades. Chapter 3. The Inflammation Connection. One of the quietest drivers of aging is chronic low-grade inflammation, sometimes called inflammaging. Over time, low-level inflammatory signaling damages tissues, accelerates vascular disease, and is linked to conditions like diabetes, frailty, depression, and neurodegeneration. Purpose appears to affect this biology indirectly but meaningfully. People who feel their lives have meaning are more likely to maintain healthy behaviors, sleep better, and nurture social ties, all factors that dampen stress-related inflammatory cascades. They also show lower levels of inflammatory markers in many studies, measures such as C-reactive protein and pro-inflammatory cytokines. The pathway isn't mystical. Feeling purposeful changes behavior and stress physiology, which in turn modulate immune signaling. In other words, meaning can act like a long-term anti-inflammatory lifestyle prescription. Chapter 4. The Oxytocin Effect. Another part of the story is the biology of connection. Oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, spikes during trust, compassion, affectionate contact, and giving. Long thought to be mainly about childbirth and nursing, oxytocin is now recognized as a broader modulator of social behavior, stress regulation, and emotional resilience. Acts of altruism, volunteering, caregiving, mentoring, even small acts of kindness, often increase social connection and oxytocin signaling. Those biochemical shifts can calm the stress response, influence inflammatory pathways, and support neuroplasticity, the brain's capacity to reorganize and learn. The biology of kindness is real. Contributing to others engages reward systems and hormonal pathways that protect against loneliness and chronic stress, both of which are powerful drivers of decline. Chapter 5, Can Purpose Influence Cellular Aging? Here we enter a controversial but fascinating area. Telomeres, the protective caps on chromosome ends, shorten with each cell division, and accelerated shortening has been linked to stress and some age-related diseases. While telomere length is an imperfect clock, it's one of the best-studied cellular markers of biological age. Several studies report associations between psychological well-being, social support, purpose, and healthier telomere profiles. These are correlations, not proof that purpose directly lengthens telomeres. Still, they support the idea that the mental landscape, our relationships, stress levels, and sense of meaning, feeds down into cellular processes. Behaviors and hormonal milieus tied to purpose can influence oxidative stress, telomerase activity, and inflammatory signaling, the very things that modulate cellular aging. Chapter 6. The Limitations of Biohacking. We live in an era obsessed with optimization. Wearables, continuous glucose monitors, recovery scores, and lab panels promise control and clarity. Those tools are valuable for guiding choices, but there is a risk. We can become so focused on measuring life that we forget to live it. No gadget can fully capture love, meaning, contribution, or the warmth of human connection. A perfect HRV score or a low calculated biological age is poor compensation for loneliness, regret, or an unmoored sense of purpose. Longevity isn't only about adding years, it's about adding meaningful years, days worth living. The metrics are useful, but they are incomplete if they ignore the social and emotional architecture that supports a resilient life. Chapter 7. The Purpose Prescription. If purpose were a medicine, its side effects would be profound. Improved mood, stronger social bonds, greater motivation, reduced loneliness, and better stress resilience. Unlike most drugs, purpose often multiplies when shared. Mentoring one person can ripple across a community. So how do you cultivate it? Start with questions that shift focus outward. Who benefits because I exist? What small contribution can I make today? Purpose rarely appears fully formed. It is found by doing. Practical steps include volunteering, mentoring, caregiving, joining community projects, creating art for others, or teaching a skill. Even small repeated acts, helping a neighbor, listening to a friend, tending a garden that feeds others, can create meaning and strengthen the neural and social circuits that support health. Final thoughts. If there is a single lesson from today's episode, it is this. The future of longevity will not belong solely to technology, supplements, or pharmaceuticals. It will also belong to meaning, connection, and contribution. The aging brain is shaped not just by what we eat, how we sleep, or how we move. It is profoundly shaped by why we rise in the morning, by the people we care for, the communities we serve, and the projects that make our days coherent. Perhaps one of the most powerful longevity tools available is not a laboratory product at all, but a life lived in service, a life that matters to someone else. I'm Dr. Yende. Thank you for joining another episode of OXYZEN Health Intelligence. Remember, the goal isn't only to live longer, it's to build a life worth living. Sometimes, that may be the healthiest thing we ever do. See you in the next episode.